You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear.
Somehow it is holiday season. I don't know what happened with going from January 2024 to today. It was like a time warp in many ways. Like in some ways, I wanted a time warp to get through campaign season.
Yeah, tell me about it.
To get on the backside of that, and that's been accomplished. And now the goal is to try to slow down and enjoy these days before we hit 2025. What is interesting is during the time warp and everything else happening in the economy and society and the globe, consumers continue to change their behavior. And I think we have this natural inclination, Matt, to go back and be like, well, COVID changed this. And yeah, but I mean, it was part of it, right? There's a confluence of all these things, and it's part of that. But I mean, consumers have been changing their behaviors for a long time, but things continue to change. We do an annual holiday survey just to look at consumer behaviors and shifts that take place. This year, there's some interesting things. And I think we can talk a little bit about the economy and what's happening with that, but also kind of what's happening with consumers and where they expect to spend money, how much they expect to spend this year, and kind of what does that tell us about where we head in 2025?
Yeah, it's been an interesting year, and we've heard a lot about kind of conversation around the economy and consumer confidence, and a lot of people say, hey, the economy's great, just look at the numbers. And then obviously the election outcome kind of pointed to this overall concern amongst many Americans about just the compounding effect of inflation that we've seen over the last number of years. And so while inflation is tamped down at 2.6%, which is there's still inflation in the marketplace. That was the October reading. It's come down from a high, but all that growth jammed together has shown things to be more expensive. And so there's a lot of us wondering kind of how consumers are feeling about purchasing shoes, what kind of discretionary income they have access to. And we've actually seen post-election, kind of to your point, Andy, the time warp, that consumers are now like feeling a little bit better about their economic prospects, and maybe they will spend a little bit more money. And I've been in the stores over the weekend. We go shopping a lot as a family, many daughters, many females in my family. We've spent a lot of time in stores, and there's a lot of stuff. There's so much inventory out there right now. And I feel like it's moved up even earlier. My question, Andy, is like at the end, come December 26th, when the line to return things is out the door, will a lot of that inventory sold through? We'll be still holding a lot of it. And so this survey in particular was interesting to me because it gives us an insight of just how consumers are thinking about the economy, particularly shoe shopping.
My suggestion is if there's large inventory at the end of the year, you move it all to one store, you set the store on fire, and you claim the insurance. So that's just quick and easy, just to see how it goes. I guess it really depends on how well you're able to cover your tracks and lie to the police and whatnot. But it's one way to deal with it. So the election is actually really crucial because we see this in surveys we've done with consumers, not just in this, but with other surveys we've done. And it's really interesting how like people who voted for Trump all of a sudden feel much more optimistic for the outlook, right? All of a sudden a flip. People who voted for Kamala Harris may feel less enthused, but I was talking to a range of different friends who vote all over the place. And it was true. Like the Trump people felt like, okay, finally, like the economic policies and tax cuts and all that, like I feel a lot better. Okay, fine. I was talking to the Harris voters and they were less optimistic, but there was more around like spending to feel better. So they weren't cutting back their spending, and likely they thought the economy was already okay.
Right.
So, it's kind of a win-win where both sides of all these folks, you're either spending because you feel better, or you're spending because you feel bad, but either way, you're spending. So I think and when I was asked about our holiday survey and what I was thinking, I think the holiday season overall is going to be quite good And I think it'll be better than most people anticipate. So there's a large silver lining to all of this of coming out the backside of it. Now that said, if we have a really great and a shaggy boombastic holiday season, credit card debts come due in January, February, it might be a little bit tighter there. But if we're looking towards the end, it should be pretty good. The survey, what was interesting about the survey is the same result happened last year as it did this year. Something like 43% of folks expect to purchase holiday shoes, either for themselves or for a gift for family members or friends. 43% are going to purchase online this holiday season. 57% pick up in store. That's been pretty consistent. Around 30% plan to purchase it at Target, Walmart, or Costco. 47% at a shoe store chain like Famous, DSW, Rack Room, Foot Locker, Shoe Show, etc. So those have been pretty consistent as it goes down. The big shock to me has been how Amazon's market share for online shoe sales have decreased. And I would say when we did a survey in 2018, it was something like, 57% of folks bought on Amazon. They went shopping on there and they bought on there. And today, over time, even during COVID, it kind of chipped away. And over time, now we're down to this holiday season, only 34% expect to purchase on somewhere like Amazon or Zappos, like a very specific shoe online presence. Now the majority, not the majority, but right in line with that is the shoe brands on websites. So whether you're at Nike.com, Vans.com, SteveMadden.com, that's where a lot of people are shopping. In addition to places like Nordstrom, Foot Locker, Target, that's around like 23%. So that's even up. But the decline of Amazon is really interesting to note. And I think there's a couple of things, Matt, and you can chime in too, but I think the brand's websites have improved. It's easier to navigate. It's more user-friendly. They're probably giving better deals on those websites. It's easier to check out than ever before. It might be top of mind when they see a friend's brand new, running shoe, that they go immediately to that place instead of looking on Amazon. Maybe Amazon's more of a casual look around to see what's there than actually purchasing. So, but it is interesting because the dominance of Amazon in terms of a sales channel, specifically, I think for branded footwear, is kind of declining.
Yeah, I think it is, Andy. And I try to think through kind of what's happened since that time. It's been no secret that the brands have put in a really concerted effort to jack up the traffic that goes towards their sites because the margins are better and they can control their own destiny. Premium product is typically on those sites. So I really think the brands focus on developing robust customer relationship management system or CRM systems, help it to text you every other hour with new drops, help you to build rewards into the program if you're signing up to be a part of the ecosystem that is Nike, that is DSW, that is Nordstrom. And they're developing that kind of reliance and that focus on maintaining customer loyalty that I think Amazon really doesn't. The loyalty with Amazon is driven by efficiency and access to product. It's not driven by some I don't know that many people are just love Amazon because it's Amazon. It's more of I love the road. The road's great because it brings, I'm able to travel down it. But at the end of the day, the brands develop the relationships and the loyalty and the retailers that are specific. So I think there's been a lot more investment in that space to help drive some of those numbers away from the online experience.
Yeah. And that's to say, when we asked the question, it was specific to branded footwear. So if you've got casual comfort footwear that you're selling through Amazon, you're probably just fine. You probably won't see a difference, but more specific to the branded side, I think. But we also, we did a survey with Alex Partners this year too, and they put out data sets about how important Amazon is to just branding and shopping, right? And driving traffic and getting data back, because it's still a huge kind of data center for many brands to see how people are looking and what they're looking at. So you still got to be there. It just is a different perspective from the consumer when they're landing and where they're buying. We also asked a new question this holiday season, whether they were shopping specifically for branded footwear or for the best value for the holiday season. And that kind of spoke to their pocketbook. How do they feel about their pocketbook? How do they, it cuts to the trends. It cuts to, cross-cutting question basically for the consumer. And about 60% are shopping for branded shoes this year. And about 40% are shopping for the best shoes at the right price, regardless of whatever logo's on there. So 60-40, somewhere in there. So that also tells me, again, I think it's going to be a good holiday season more broadly across the industry than maybe in the past. And we'll get to that too. We found some really interesting the type of shoe that people are looking for. So in the past, I think what's really dominated the last 2 or 3 years has really been just athletic and casual shoes. And again, it grew again. Athletic shoes are 42% of what people are looking for. And I think that is kind of the walking shoe, just comfort shoe, like whether you're just walking around or you're actually out running in those. But we saw a large category increase for work shoes and boots this year, almost double what we saw last year. So you got casual shoes are doing just fine. Athletic shoes are staying where they are. Dress and just shoes and boots are pretty consistent, but this kind of uptick on work shoes and boots was something really interesting. And again, that goes to the broad base of the type of shoes that people are looking at, Matt.
Yeah, I agree. Just looking at the numbers, the decline for casual shoes, I think we're kind of our closets are filled with casual shoes right now. Athletic is performance driven. It is designed to be something you use, and obviously it wears out because you're using it for different activities. And then I think there are a lot of people want to get to work and have a need, and there's an expectation that folks will be, working in jobs and needing access to this product. I want to go back real quickly to the brand versus value question.
Yep.
What's really interesting is that 64% of men are more likely than women to shop for branded shoes. And at first you might think, well, that's weird. Men buy one pair of shoes per decade, and they're kind of misers when it comes to the cost and the value. But if you think about the fragmentation in the men's shoe space relative to the women's, it's much less fragmented. The big brands, the Nikes, the Jordans, the Adidases of the world really drive those purchases for men in particular. And you just go into a DSW, for example, and look at what the women's side has to offer. And there's so many brands I've never heard of. They're private label, or they have, 1 or 2 pairs of shoes, but there's just a lot more fragmentation. So women are kind of, they're conditioned to access, I think, non-branded footwear more than men are. I know that I wear all branded footwear. That's all I go for. So I think that wasn't a surprise, but we did see a tick up in that space.
Yeah, indeed. Another kind of point that shows, more broadly, the industry as a whole should see a very good kind of holiday season is, we asked a new question as well. It was if you would be, as a consumer, be willing to purchase footwear categories you normally don't buy if the price or promotion was really favorable. So you walk into a store, you're looking to buy a certain type of shoe, but you look over and you're like, oh, there's this type of shoe. It looks really attractive. That's nice. Oh, there's a huge discount. Maybe there's a BOGO, so you're going to get one. You look at that, you're like, I'll take that too. Buy one, get one half off, whatever your promotion is. But 84% of people purchasing shoes this holiday season are willing to buy a category of shoe they wouldn't normally if they land on your website or in your store. So people are shopping. That tells me people are looking for a deal, and they're willing to spend some money if they find something really attractive to them and it's at the right price, Matt.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think these are questions we wanted to ask. And what I love about the survey is that we partner with our retail members to edit the questions, because we've been doing this now for a long time, these surveys, and to have the insights from our retail partners to say, hey, I would love to ask consumers this question. This is one that was out there, along with kind of what tools of the discount trade should retailers employ or deploy to bring in more sales. We asked that question as well before we even get to kind of the timing of when people will shop. So there's a lot of conversation around, buy one, get one, or money off, or percentage off. 37% said they would love the buy one, get one. 38% said just cut some money off of it. And 25% said there's a percentage off. And consumer psyches are weird, Andy, because sometimes, when we're going back to school, all the states have these tax-free holidays, and depending on where your state is, it could be like, 4.5% or 6% off. And people are like, that's amazing. They run to the store. Doesn't even come close to a 25% off coupon or a BOGO. So how companies market this and how they engage with consumers, depending on what they offer, is critically important to how consumers will react. And then will they then in turn purchase shoes they weren't expecting to buy because of those incentives?
Yep. When they plan to make their holiday purchase this year, this is something I think was always curious, because the supply chain kind of issues we saw the last couple of years, where people are a little bit nervous about buying something online and have it shipped to their house on time and get it in time. So they were shopping a little bit earlier. It's kind of adjusted back to what we might more traditionally see as a normal holiday season, where there's a portion of folks, maybe a quarter, that'll shop before Thanksgiving. Those are kind of the early birds of getting all their stuff done because they think maybe they can get a deal earlier than later. Most people, though, are going to shop Black Friday through Cyber Monday. So that's going to be kind of the big driver. But December will be bigger than last year. So in 2023, there was about 15% of folks who were planning on purchasing sometime in December ahead of the holiday season. This year is 21%. So while people, so hopefully your numbers were great Black Friday through Cyber Monday, but you might see a bump in December comps compared to last year. So I think that's a positive thing to note as well, Matt.
Well, the other thing people are clearly aware of, particularly if you're a retailer, is that we have one less week between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's going to be a much more concentrated season. And that's why even right now, as we record this in mid-November, I'm in the store and I feel like the stores are packed. We live in the DC area and I've been out in Northern Virginia quite a lot lately, in home stores and shoe stores and apparel stores. There's a lot of people out. And I said to my wife just this weekend, I said, it feels like it's Black Friday, just the amount of traffic that's out there. So it feels earlier than normal, but it's actually right on time because we have one less week. Thanksgiving's late this year, to put it simply. So I agree. There's going to be this really concerted effort once we get through Black Friday to Cyber Monday. We obviously have Giving Tuesday. Make sure you go out and donate to good causes in the interim, and then get back to the shoe shopping afterwards. I think that's going to be a really concentrated push for December. And again, consumer confidence, we haven't really talked about the numbers. It's spiked since it came up actually in October. It went up significantly even before the election, and it has gone up even more so since the election. So there's going to be a confident consumer out there, which I think we can all, we should be grateful for, because they're going to be motivated to buy.
Yeah. Total that folks plan on spending this holiday season, I think the between $100 and $250, 46% plan to spend that. So that's the largest chunk. We did see an increase in the amount of money people plan to spend from $250 to $500 range. Mm-hmm. That went last year was 12%. This year went to 18%. So either they're looking specifically for shoes and are willing to spend more, or they just anticipate prices might be a little bit higher. But that's a positive that we see, where the amount of spending will increase. And then we qualify that with another question and said, specifically, is this more or less than you spent last year? And 36% said they plan to spend more this year than last year. And only 21% said less than last year. So we're on the uptick. Last year in 2023, it was kind of an even split between people who were going to spend more and less. It was just kind of flat. So this tells me, Matt, that you got a boost in terms of what people are anticipating of releasing from their pocketbook is a lot better than it was last year.
Yeah, and this one's hard to dissect. Part of me is yeah, baby, I'm going to spend more, baby. Here I come, Foot Locker or Nike.com or whatever. And then some might be like, well, prices are up. My expectation is that I will spend more. I don't want to, but I'm going to have to do it. And so I don't know what the balance is between those two kind of caricatures, but nevertheless, we'll take it because I think again, we've either socialized higher prices, although footwear prices have been very competitive this year. Can't say anything for 2025 TBD, but I think it's also a lot of people, they want to go out and spend and they're excited about it.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of is the highlights of the holiday survey. And, we talked a little bit about, through this, looking at the consumer lens and behavioral lenses, it looks very much improved from 2023. Will that carry over into 2025? And I think there's a constant question mark that we always have about that. We cover that on our Tuesday calls. We have member calls every Tuesday at 2 p.m. where we drop the latest data set that we have every single week, whether it's footwear sales by channel, footwear prices, material costs, anything in your operations. We look at that on that Tuesday call. So if you're not on that, please jump on there every Tuesday at 2 p.m. You can go to FDRA.org and sign up for that. It's a free call. But the question is how much debt are consumers racking up against how much they're spending, right? Where's the money coming from? Are their wages higher? Some people do have higher wages and they have more power in their purse, I guess, or their pocketbook. Some people are loading up a little bit too much on their credit cards, which may come due and start paying it off in January, February. So there's always a balance as we hit the end of the year. We want to have really good numbers. But then what does that portend for January, February on top of what may happen with the new administration with tariffs? So it's a constant evolution where we'll see what happens. But we have a lot of options, Matt, of keeping people updated from newsletters to our Tuesday call.
Oh my gosh. I will say, I try not to be braggadocious, but we're knocking out of the park right now, Andy. Our relevancy has never been higher. We are communicating ad nauseum. And I know it's, you might be like, why is Matt and Andy and Thomas and others sending us so many emails? It's because there's so much happening. And so by the end of the week, you get the What I'm Hearing email at the start in your email inbox. You hit the Tuesday call at 2:00 East Coast time on Tuesday. You get the week in review email by Friday. And in the meantime, you probably had a call with us privately about something. There's no excuse as an FDRA member not to be updated as to what's happening and have all the latest intel that we have. Oh yeah, and check out the Trump trade transition portal and all the great retail data Andy just referenced in the Intel Center. We're here for you. We're built for this moment, and it's we're in our 81st year, and it's almost feels like we're just getting started. So I'm excited about how we're partnering with the industry to get the job done.
Excellent. Well, folks, we hope that your holiday sales are better than expected. We hope you get some time to kind of wind down a little bit and take a pause and a breather during these holiday seasons. I know we're just coming off Thanksgiving, but we're thankful for this industry. We're thankful for the folks who do a lot of hard work and are very innovative and fight every day for the value of consumers. And obviously, we all fight in the marketplace for the dollars, but the industry this year has been very generous, contributing to things like 210, Souls for Souls, also Shoes for a Cure. We've seen a lot of folks come together around different missions to support each other and lift each other up. And I think it's important at the end of the year to kind of surmise that, because sometimes we don't see that. But our industry is an amazing industry with amazing product and people. So we're appreciative that we get to be a part of that. Shoeandshow.com is our website. It's got all our catalog of all this great information. If we can help you with your business or anything you might need, please drop us a line at info@fdra.org. And on behalf of Matt and myself, thank you very much for listening. New episode drops Monday. Until next time, Shoein is out.
Shoein has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.